So let's bring the meeting to order. We'll start with the pledge of allegiance. Yeah, move.
Oh, like where?
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Roll call.
Councilmember Blue,
Here.
Allen,
Here.
Farrell,
Here.
Happy,
Here.
Miller,
Here.
Wood,
Here.
Mayor Cramlett.
Here. So additions or amendments to the agenda.
We are adding to 3C, noise ordinance waiver for a September 24th wedding. And then we're moving 7B and 7C to before the action items.
So adoption of the consent agenda, which includes the noise board.
Mr. Mayor, I move that we adopt the consent agenda. A, approval of August 22nd, 2022 minutes. B, ratification of the bills in the amount of $425,670.81. And C, a noise ordinance waiver for a wedding.
A second.
Okay, it's been moved and second to approve the consent agenda. The addition of the noise board. All in favor? Say aye.
We're gonna do a roll
Aye.
call vote.
We've changed.
Oh, you want a roll call vote on that?
Yeah, just to make sure everybody's got it.
Because we got everybody out of there. Okay, roll call. then.
Councilmember Blue,
Aye.
Happy,
Aye.
Allen,
Aye.
Farrell,
Aye.
Miller,
Aye.
Wood,
Aye.
Mayor Cramlett.
Aye. Okay, so we're gonna, we may be in a while on our action items, we're gonna go with B and C here now. So summer report, you can start right off the bat.
Thank you, first of all, for the sponsorship and funding of the summer programs that we were able to bring to Hood River. So after meeting with you, I followed back up with the County Arts and Ed program of the Gorge, and they were able to solidify the two programs that I had brought forward. The cycling in conjunction with water sports, as well as the Story Gorge Film Camp programs. And so those took place in August. The cycling camp was 3 days from August 22nd, 23rd, and 24th. And Jennifer Wilson was the main teacher. She is currently our new 5th grade teacher at the Cascade Elementary. So it's a great opportunity for her to come in and meet kids. She's had several that have been in class afterwards, and so she's spoken very highly of that opportunity. Let's see, Avery Van Telberg was also one of the teachers that was able to be brought in as a coach. And then the water sports were done in conjunction with the Gorge Canoe Club. So Val Stepanek and Jimmy were both the two teachers that helped with the water activities in the afternoon. So some of the candid feedback that Jennifer provided was that there were 3 kids, the 20 total that participated that had never ridden bikes before. And so that was a really new and great experience for them. And that there were several who hadn't ever participated in water activities, canoe or paddleboard and things like that. So lots of really great activities sponsored by local connections. The Story Gorge Film Camp was put together by Sean O'Connor. He's the director of Story Gorge. And there were 8 kids that participated. It was designed to be a smaller group from the beginning. And so this was a really great cohort for him to move forward with. And they ended up producing 3 videos. So we have those queued up. They all feature Chief Logan and the fire department. And so what basically played out is there was 3 days, August 29th, 30th, and 31st. And over those 3 days, they had an opportunity to learn how to use the iPad for film, to actually interview Chief Logan, and put him on the spot with stuff, and it's a lot of candid responses that were really well captured. And a lot of the kids were really, really excited about that. So I'm happy to answer questions, or we can watch the video if you'd like, if you haven't already seen it.
Sure.
Susan.
So as a firefighter, every day we find something to train on. So whether it be medical stuff or fire stuff, we also have house duties that we do around fire stations. So we scrub toilets and we clean floors. We do daily rig checks where we pick an ambulance or a fire engine, and we go through that fire engine or ambulance to make sure all of our tools are there, make sure that they all work and that they're in good working order. And then as the chief, I'm responsible for all the admin stuff. So the budget, the signing off of incident reports, paying bills, and that sort of stuff. To the family, I'm married and I have 2 kids. My oldest daughter is a 6th grader, she'll be going to middle school. And my youngest is my son, he's a 1st grader here at Cascade Elementary. How it affects my family, sometimes I'm not at certain events, birthdays, holidays. There's times that we have an event planned and we get an emergency call and I have to leave to go handle the emergency. So I miss out on some things. There's been a few calls that I've been scared while working. We kind of have to push through that, put it to the side, to make sure we're taking care of the patients or the person's house is on fire or whatever the call is. So I get over that fear by utilizing training that I've had over my 20+ years in the fire service. And that helps me get through the tough times. In the fire service, we like to play pranks on each other. And it's our way of kind of dealing with the stress of our job. So I've had my turnout boots full of shaving cream, water balloons dropped on my head while taking pictures, and other funny little pranks that are all in good fun.
Two more.
My name is John Logan, and I'm the fire chief of the city of Cascade. I joined the fire service to help people and to drive big red shiny trucks. So I have a family, I have a wife and 2 kids. My daughter has 0 interest in the fire service that I know of. My 6-year-old son has his own set of turnouts. He's ready to start volunteering today. My favorite part of my job is helping people, whether that's at the scene of a motor vehicle accident or a house fire, or somebody just stopping by the fire station to get directions. The satisfaction knowing that by responding to emergencies, that the community is getting a benefit from it, and that I'm there to help people and in their moment of need. And it could be, they lost their cat at the tree, which is kind of a cliche call, or that their house is on fire. Just being there for the community. It can be pretty scary, and not just fire, but all aspects of our job. We're an all hazard department. So we do fire, we do EMS, we respond to hazardous materials calls, all sorts of things on the freeway. You never know what the people around you are gonna do, so we try to make our scenes as safe as possible, but we still get very killed, especially on the freeway. How it feels when you save a life feels very rewarding. It feels like you're giving somebody's family a second chance to be with that person, and you're giving that person a second chance of life. Whether they were a good human and a good member of society, or a not so good member of society, you're giving them that second chance to make a difference in the world. When somebody disrespects the fire department, you kind of just have to smile and say thank you and be the bigger person and or educate them on how it works. They may not know exactly how it works, so by spending that time with that individual, talking through their issue, showing them your point of view and how it works, generally you can resolve all of the disputes. For most agencies that have career staff, they work some sort of shift schedule, whether it be 24 hours on, 48 hours off. So realistically, you're spending a third of your life with your coworkers. You feel like a family. in the Oregon Fire Service, and that's how we try to represent ourselves and our community and our job. My name is Jordan. My occupation is the fire chief of the city of Cascade. So we have 4 career staff, myself and 3 firefighter paramedics. And we have about 14 volunteers. And more people is always better. Many can make light work. The more volunteers we can get, the more money we can save the city. And talk to people in the community, your parents, or if you're turning 16 soon. At 16, we have a student firefighter program, and so that program allows high school students to come in and learn about the fire service and emergency medical services, provide training, and get you where you need to go if that's something that you want to do as a career. From the time I was a little boy, seeing the fire trucks and the 4th of July parade, it's kind of what I always dreamed of doing. I mean, if you have fun at work, you never work a day in your life. And I have a lot of fun at the fire station, going out, whether it's a life or death emergency, or just going down to the park and cooking hamburgers and hot dogs, and talking to people. It's a really fun and rewarding job. Yeah, so the student firefighter program started, oh man, in the 70s, I think, at the Hood River High School. And so it allows students at the high school to volunteer at their respective fire district or department from 16 to 18. There's some things that the students can't do. They can't obviously go inside a burning building. But they can go to most emergencies with us, come to weekly trainings, learn about the job, see the job, figure out something that also gets you high school credit at River Valley High School. So with limited funding that we have, we're a tax-based organization. So whatever taxes that we get from property taxes is kind of what we have. We're a small community. They don't have a large tax base to draw from. I'm the fire chief, but I'm also on the first line ambulance. I'm usually the first line mechanic, between myself and the paramedics that work with me and the volunteers. We can pretty much fix most anything. We rely heavily on grants. I'm always applying for grants to try to get updated equipment or updated gear that we wear. So we've got to be smart with our money and make every dollar count. Okay.
That was cool.
Yeah.
Very nice.
Yeah.
They did a good job.
So this is what Storyboard does. They're a professional company that features different stories, and they usually spend months and months on 3-minute videos, pulling together material and editing and everything. But they've really got a program narrowed into like a 3-day window. So that's what they pulled out, and it gets on a lot of time. It's really great. Yeah. Are there any questions?
Good job.
Excellent.
Yes.
I have one request in terms of PTO's involvement in this. Again, we're happy to help facilitate. If this is something the council would like us to do going forward, we would support a request sooner than June. That's something that you'd like us to do, so we can look to forecast for that a little bit more effectively.
So you got the request in June,
We did,
and you got this put together graphics.
yeah.
That's impressive.
Thank you.
How did the attendance work? Did you have to turn anybody away? Did you wish you had more?
No, so the way that the program was set up, when I spoke to Jennifer Wilson, she was anticipating class sizes of roughly 18 would be her max. And so I said the goal of the council had been to include as many participants as possible, and she threw out the idea of potentially doing 18 to 20 people a day, having 3 separate days of individual camps that encompassed both the biking and the water. Based on who they had enroll, 20 kids, they were able to include all of those kids every day and just have it be a 3-day program similar to what she proposed to begin with. Nobody was turned away, and there was a lot of really excited folks that participated.
The ages were.
So
Like range.
Yeah, it was a little bit older kids, especially with the bikes, so they were limited with what they had for the actual physical bikes. They couldn't, anybody, I think, I want to say 9, that's what it was, 9 and older. And then with the film camp, it was older kids, so most of them middle school to high school age. And so we had several folks that had, really middle school kids that participated and loved it.
Jeremiah has a question.
I just want to thank you for your efforts. My son had the opportunity to attend and he came home hot and sweaty and dirty and had some Band-Aids on. And so in this day and age, that's really all you can hope for our children. So I certainly appreciate your efforts. My son had nothing but good things to say about it. And every day he came home, he took a nice long nap. So I think you guys were doing a great job there and I appreciate it.
Fantastic, I'll pass it along, thank you.
I would just maybe recommend to, like you were saying, ask before June, so we can kind of get it in the books, and then that way it'll give you lots of time to.
Well, we're happy to help if you would like PTO to play that role. If there are other local agencies that want to step up and participate in that capacity, then we just really facilitated. There wasn't, PTO doesn't have the capacity to actually program. So we don't have the ability to put these on, but we tapped into resources that did. So just let us know what you guys are thinking.
I really like the fact that it's a program for the kids that were more adventurous and wanted to ride bikes and go, play in the water versus the kids that maybe want to go ride bikes and do that, so it's a good mix of different programs for different interests.
That's great feedback. Shelley Toon at the Arts and Ed program was who sort of spearheaded the ideas and was able to pull these together. So whether that was happenstance or intentional, it's a good feedback.
Do you have any ideas of things that we could do to improve the program or do anything different for next summer besides request earlier for?
The PTO is happy to help in the same capacity that we did. I think that we would continue to use other established organizations, whether it's Arts and Ed or the Porch Canoe Club or other entities that are close and available. I don't know, we would have to really kind of figure that out. It also would allow us to tap into some other communication networks that exist through the school district. We could kind of take team on some of those to help make sure that there was good information provided about camps so people can schedule ahead. There's a lot of what we came up against was people had vacations planned right at the end of August. And so summer school ran through July, which left just a short window of time for participation for these. So we just have to be really, really on top of it.
It's crazy how fast summer goes from this group on the calendar. Any ideas of things we could do to get younger participation? Or it sounds like most of these two programs are really geared more towards kids that are 9 and up.
I suspect something that resulted or looked closer to childcare type programming where you had camp type focuses that had hours where parents could drop kids off, perhaps in more of a structured environment, like a week-long program or something at the school or a local other entity that might be able to that an arts camp or something. Younger kids is easier to take care of, not on bikes or down by the water. So
Just a way for the kids to socialize, maybe that miss each other all summer, and that'd be a good way to.
Thank you.
Thank you. Any other questions? Good, all right, thanks. So, Chairman, thank you.
All right, that's a tough one to follow.
That's our point of all.
Well, good evening, Mr. Mayor, members of the council. Thanks for your time tonight. I'm coming back to report to you on the trash and recycle cart program. Toward the end of 2021, I was in front of council on some other business, and the carts were brought up as would be a possibility for the residents of Cascade Locks. Fast forward to March, I came back in with some carts as samples. We kind of talked through the program, how it would look, ask you folks for a little bit of direction on, would this be a all or nothing type program? And the direction was yes. People that currently have a 32-gallon trash can at their house would receive the 35-gallon roll cart. And then 14-gallon recycle bins, as they are today, would go away to be replaced by the 95-gallon recycle cart. The bins can either come back to us at our expense, we pick them up, or the residents can use them as for the glass, because you're still gonna put glass on the side of the cart. You asked for pricing on that, which took a little bit of time with current markets on resin and petroleum that the plastic manufacturer use on these carts. And the number came in at $7 per customer. That would include both the trash cart, whether it's the 35-gallon replacing a 32. And then there's a small number of folks that sign up for 2-can service, 2 32 gallons. We would replace that with 1 65-gallon cart. The recycle wouldn't change no matter what size the service was for trash. They all get a 95-gallon cart. As we went through that, had some emails back and forth with Mr. Zimmerman. A couple things that came up. Number one would be the agreement that we currently have with Cascade Locks does not address carts and or services associated with carts. So we'd be looking at extending, redoing the agreement to start earlier than when it lapses in 2024. And the other thing that we would need if council chose to go this direction would be a parcel of hard surface parking lot, so to speak, where the 800 carts could be delivered, and then the team that comes from the cart manufacturer would assemble and deliver from that location. It wouldn't be feasible to land in the river, try to get it down here efficiently. So if there are any questions or anything else.
So if the council chooses to do this and we do redo the agreement, we do the resolution with the new pricing changes, how soon could this be in effect?
I would like to think by the end of the year, the carts could be landed for first of the year service change.
And that $7 does not include your, because you don't know yet what the increase will be for the cost from the landfill.
Correct. So the crystal ball tells me it's between 7 and 10% increase this year on CPI and what the landfill is going to ask for. That would not apply to the $7. It would apply to the current rate. Right.
So did you understand that conversation?
So $7 is a month is gonna add to your.
Yes.
Because
So if you have 1 can at your house now, you should be paying $19.58 a month. That would go to $26.58 a month.
Okay, so I get billed,
You get billed for 2 months at a time,
okay, so it'd be $14.
6 times a year, right?
Okay, and then how would that work? Every once in a while, I need an extra can, and so I pay that $4.99 or whatever.
It would still work the same way. Our guys would still have the ability to empty a customer provided can or bag.
Okay.
I like the idea of trash not blowing around.
Yeah. Yeah.
Or hopefully it's
You
the
don't
trash
need both.
can rodeo,
Yeah.
you
My
know?
cell phone gets out there quite a bit. I'm not sure how that works, but it's okay.
Right.
I published it.
So as I understood it though, the contract that would be renegotiated, the agreement would not result in any changes in rates. Is that right? Besides the $7.
Correct, yes.
Right.
Yeah.
Everything else in the
It
agreement.
would have language about cards and like displacement costs and location and things like that we have now with the current 32-gallon can. We just have to have the cart verbiage to that.
And so the direction the council needs to take is twofold. We can't do the increase for 2023 until landfill tells them what the increase is going to be, and that normally comes in November.
It should be early October, when we meet the solid waste advisory committee.
So you would have one resolution to increase the rate current, whether we do cards or not. And secondly, if you want to do cards, I think we're gonna have to go back and change our ordinance because the ordinance doesn't require cards, and we want to do this, it's all or nothing. We don't want to split it up. If that's the direction you go, then we have to, as a staff, look at reviewing the ordinance, or the city attorney review the ordinance, have Jim give us some sample language so that we can change the ordinance. Once the ordinance is changed, then you can do the second resolution to increase the rates differently than the cost of living increase. And can we get this all done by December? It would be tough. We can try. But he needs the direction so he can get it on order, because we're talking probably 3 months delivery. And I don't know where we've got 800 square feet of concrete.
That's what I was wondering too.
Yeah.
Well, if we could ask the board if that old renewal workshop is not sold and used by that time, that might be an option there.
How much time do they need once the carts are delivered to assemble and,
I think it would be less than a week.
okay,
I'm just basing that off of the river. We had 2,200 customers. They all had 3 carts, 6,600 carts. I think we did it just over 2 weeks. And the river's a little bit more spread out. We go from the port.
How many customers do we have here?
Just under 400.
Brenda has a question.
Yeah, Brenda.
Yes, my question is for Gordon, in our ordinance, it says that garbage service is mandatory. It doesn't, do we get so technical that we go to the type of can as well?
That's what we have to check. I don't know how the city attorney would read it. That's a question.
And then I have a question for the Hood River garbage gentleman there. It's on a different topic, but it's a question, and I feel it should be asked while he's there. It might help us. And my question there would be, since we are not having a dumpster day because we have a big wastewater treatment thing going on down there, so we don't have room to be able to do it. I was wondering if for those who were able to, is there any way we could get it to where we could take a load to the dump for free, since we're not going to be doing that in October, or is that totally out of the question?
Not totally out of the question. This is the first I've heard. I haven't heard from Sheldon that wasn't happening.
He's hunting. Because of our wastewater treatment project, the whole area where we normally have all the dumpsters has got equipment all spread all over it. And so we decided to cancel it for this year.
Okay.
That's a great question, and maybe Jim can go take a look and see what we could do for Cascade Locks residents at a given date, allow free dumping.
I think we could do that. We might spread it over a couple different weekends just so everyone didn't bottle up. But yeah, we would definitely work with the community on doing something for them to dispose of that material.
Good suggestion. And we'll do it in October so we can put it in if you get it, so we can decide.
But the
In a
newsletter,
week or two, we can put it in the flyer and the newsletter and on Facebook. If that's,
That's a good suggestion. I was gonna ask if we could do 2 days instead of 1 the following year to make up for it, but I didn't even think of that, so.
I think that's a great suggestion. Jim will go look. Okay, so I understand the direction from the council is let's review the ordinance. Let's bring back a resolution, depending on the ordinance, for mandatory can service with the 2. We aren't doing the yard debris because we have that free service already available to us. And then when we get the increase in October, we'll come back in December, November, or December with the increase for the 2023 year.
the timeline, does that fit with your, if we come back with a resolution next meeting?
We'll
would
try.
that-
Yeah.
So,
and if it didn't, and if the carts landed mid-January, then we would start building until the next cycle of February or something like that. We would always err on the side of the repair.
As long as they don't get snowed in outside.
FB.
I was just wondering, is there any way we can get some public input on this, since this is a decision that affects everybody in the city?
Well, it'll be on the agenda, if people can come and speak to it if they look at the council agendas, and council packets. This is what the forum for the,
$7 a month might not seem like a lot to some people, but to others that are maybe barely getting by as it is, and maybe don't have a problem with their existing trash service, maybe something that might be opposed to.
and that's entirely possible. All I can say is we had last Wednesday, was it last week, when we had a lot of wind, there was a lot of garbage cans all over town. Just flying. Not that, no, we have winds that they knock these cans over.
The 95s are gonna be hard pressed to knock over, but the 35s, they're a little susceptible. The lid stays with them.
Yes.
I guess it's a good question though, is that, I mean, that was probably part of the reason why things move this direction of River County and River as well, right? Did you see that it resulted in an improvement with cans blowing all over the street?
Yeah, it did. And it still does. I mean, before you go down State Street on election day, and I mean, that State Street coming from SDS, it's just a perfect wind tile. There'd be cans and Kirby's empty or full, it didn't matter. Every once in a while you'll see a cart out, might have been placed at a raw angle or something, but
It still happens, but it's significantly.
oh yeah, diminished a lot.
I would imagine it would help a lot of customers who have mobility challenges if it's on wheels and just it's a lot easier to roll it out to the curbside versus dragging a can.
And then just so I'm clear, residents of Cascade Locks, because we don't have compost service, we can take our debris for free to them, is that right?
Not him, that's our service.
That's your service.
Yeah.
You take it down to the wastewater treatment plant on Tuesdays or Thursdays between 8:30 and 3:30. You dump it in the trash, probably the yard debris pile that's back in the back of the property.
Okay. What are the hours on that?
8:30 to 3:30 on Tuesdays and Thursdays. Okay, thank you.
Just yard debris.
Just yard.
Just-
Not construction debris.
Couches and.
Appliances, no.
Even if you got grass growing out of it.
It's a living couch.
Okay, we're good on this?
We're good, thank you.
Thanks.
Thank you guys.
Thank you.
And I'll figure out, we're gonna do some cleanup,
Okay,
vouchers, tickets, whatever it takes.
okay.
All right,
Thank you.
thank you.
Thank you. Okay, public hearing.
We have none?
No, okay, action items, appointment to committees.
We have none of those.
Approve BKI SOW for the EDA Electric Hardening Project.
SOW is a scope of work or statement of work. This is a huge step. If you remember when we had Birds and McDonald, their engineering estimate was 1.3 million. BKI has brought it back down to within the budget of 335,000. They have some ideas. So I wanted to bring the scope of work to you so you could review it and approve it. It is basically the same as we have been trying to do since we got the award from the EDA in 2019. And so the significant change is based on our engineers' efforts, rather than combine the pyramid substations with the BPA substations. The BPA substation transformer was built like in 1955 or 1972, and they're really old and they're starting to leak. Is scrap both of those transformers and buy a refurbished 25 to 30 megawatt transformer. And that simplifies the circuitry, it simplifies the engineering, it lowers our cost. And so but again, it's the same scope of work to harden it. We put metal poles across the freeway so that we don't have the lines come down. We still do the distribution underground between the pyramid substation where it goes across the freeway. Underground through Snyder Construction, the contractors, and upgrade the electrical distribution system in the business park. And then make the substations more efficient. So that's the scope of work. We would still buy the BPA substation for $210,000, which
I just have one that's kind of general, that what happens when it blows? I mean, how does, I mean, we have regular transformers on poles, but this,
Yes.
the big one.
If the big one blows, then we're out of power until we can find a portable one of the equivalent size that would come in until we get the other one replaced. Right now, it's either or. We can use either the 6 megawatt or 14
Right, I
megawatt.
would make
Yeah.
that.
But and right now, we're averaging more than 6 megawatts. So if the 14 blows, we're gonna have situations where we're gonna have reduced electrical use brownouts.
Yeah, okay.
So that's why this is critical to increase that capacity. And we have customers that are wanting more power. And the more power we get, the more revenue we get. The more revenue we get, the more we can pay back the $500,000 that we have to borrow to do this. The other key to understand is we don't know what this is gonna cost. And so when the contract is left and we do the bid work, we may have to come back and figure out what we won't do, what we can do, and what we can, if we have to borrow more. Just, it's in today's environment, we have to take it a step at a time, but this is a huge step.
And then a question from Richard Moore and his, that he wanted to add, did we add those, or did BKI add those in? We wanted to, there are a couple of things he said you should consider adding to the scope for work to BKI.
Yes, so we're gonna take a look at that. The surveying, we've already agreed with BKI that we would do that contracting with our current engineering budget so that we keep the costs down to them. That's the only way we got down to the 335,000 is offloading some of those costs. But the survey shouldn't be that much because we already know where the property is. It's not, it may be on the distribution line in the business park, but again, it shouldn't be that difficult. And then in finalize the engineering agreement, I reviewed it today for EKI. So we're actually making progress on this.
Right, so we did incorporate what they suggested.
I will relax and recharge and be even more helpful.
Relax.
We're accounting for it in a different manner. It will
Okay.
not be in the EDA project.
Okay. All right, thank you.
Thank you. So
So we get a
You need a
motion. Oh, yeah.
I'll move to approve the statement of work from BKI Incorporated for the EDA 2018 disaster application of hardening the electrical infrastructure project.
I second it.
Okay, it's been moved and seconded to approve the statement of work for BKI Incorporated for the EDA 2018 disaster application of hardening of the electrical infrastructure project. Discussion.
Just to be clear, this doesn't include any construction costs?
none.
So what is the 330 for?
It's for the engineering.
That's just the engineering.
It's a $3 million project. And about 10% is appropriate for an engineering budget, which is what was approved from the EDA grant. That gives us, 2.7 million, 2.6 and a half for the rest of the project. We have found a refurbished transformer for 25 to 30 megawatts. I don't know the cost on that yet. That will all be included after we get, they're not going to do any cost estimation until they get a contract.
That makes sense. It's hard to come up with costs until you have an engineering plan.
And when you're saying refurbished,
It's,
basically the ones we had
we're refurbished.
were refurbished. What year is the refurbished one from? So we got a 55 and a
One
72.
from 55 and one from 72.
I know, I'm
Oh,
saying the
the
20, the one we're getting.
I don't know any other details. But it's when they're refurbished, it's all new components on the inside, it's all new oil.
All new winding,
Yes, that's the refurbishment.
all new winding.
Is there like
That's
a
pretty
warranty?
expensive.
Good question. Good question.
Yeah.
Is
And
there
it's in Minnesota, so I can't go run and look at it, but, yes, but that's the refurbishment. There is a guarantee, you probably get 1 year. But, it's, it's better than one, the 1955 that was refurbished in 1982.
Normally, the issue with a transformer is how hard it's had to run. And that's why our transformer has lasted from 55 to 9 to now without a lot of problems other than none of it is leaking. So that is an issue. So we don't know what, you're refurbishing something. Transformers usually go out once you start running around what their limit is, because you can actually run a transformer over its limit, 10% or whatever, and keep it going. But eventually, what happens, you're heating up the insulation. Eventually, the insulation gives out on you, you go to ground and blow the thing up. So our other transformer was also one that was just kept in reserve. It wasn't used. It was kept heated, so power was running through it. It was never under a great load, the one from 72. So and it was checked out to say everything was good on it. They didn't refurbish it as much as they just looked at it. They checked it out and said, yeah, everything in here appears to be good for us from a reputable outfit. Yeah, so again, you don't know how hard this one from 72 or the one that we're potentially getting from there has been run. If our growth, because our growth, what are we running at right now?
6 to 7, and peak hours is their peak days.
What's our peak?
7.5 was last winter.
Yeah.
But again, we've got people that are asking for another 10 megawatts. So,
So even at that, you're at 7 or 10, you're 17. If you got a 25, 30 megawatt transformer, you're not loading that you're not really putting it under a lot of strain. And the strain is what it does to the insulation. There's just a big hunk of iron with a bunch of copper around it, or nowadays aluminum, and it's insulated. And once that insulated, it's the insulation that breaks down on you eventually, and then you're in trouble. And that normally happens from overloading. I've seen a transformer blow in Hillsborough. The reason that for PG, big transformers down there. And that thing flat blew up. But it's because of the world we're in right now. The Hillsborough area has a lot of companies in there that require a lot of energy. And I guarantee you what happened to that transformer is they were loading it up so hard and they weren't adding substations that one finally gave out on. So I feel, when we first did this, because I was part of looking into all this stuff, and we're talking about a brownout, you get a brownout because you still have power. If we have 2 substations, we can shut one down and run the other one and get 6, 8, whatever they can get out of it. But at least you got something coming your way. We can switch that. You can switch from one to the other. Once you get rid of both those 2 and you go to 1, that's all you got is that 1. And typically that's what most places have. They don't have, especially small outfits are not going to have backups to them. We were very fortunate to be able to put something in that allowed us to have a backup. But once you go, right now we've got that. We can switch them out, even though it becomes brown. You just ask people, some people come off a line to get it down to the 6 or 8. You don't have to totally eliminate your customers. You may take one of your companies offline and say that's what you're expected to do when this happens.
So we're gonna scrap both of the small ones?
yeah, because
Yeah.
they're both big.
Okay, so we can't get any money for the 72 one?
We can get some money, but whatever the metal value of the scrap is, it's not, nobody's gonna buy it and refurbish. Well, somebody might buy it and refurbish it, but
Well, it's worth scrap.
it's worth scrap.
And I think we bought it at scrap. We bought the 72 at scrap for what, 30,000?
And then it costs us 30,000 to move.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah, it's good. Well, it's gonna cost something to bring something all the way from Minnesota.
Absolutely.
Especially one that, this thing, what, 14?
Yeah.
16, we're gonna bring a 25 from Minnesota. This baby, I mean, they had to plan out, they had to plan the whole trip out on this one to get it here. It takes a plan to get it there. Now, whether that came on rail or not,
No,
whether this one would come on rail,
this
possibly.
one probably would come on around.
Yeah.
The last one came from Cape Horn.
Yeah.
Substation, back to 205, out 205, out 84, and down Main Street.
They had to plan a trip for it. But having said that, when I first saw it, we had this plan of being able to switch out and do this, it really give us some more flexibility. But the plans are coming in here, they're giving you a solid pole on the south side of the freeway, they're giving you a solid pole, metal pole on the north side of the freeway. So now your wire coming across the freeway with what they're planning on doing here, heavier wire, heavier poles, is really gonna solidify your system from that substation or Herman Creek, because that's where they're gonna go to, they're gonna need Pyramid, and that substation is gonna be at Herman Creek. And again, the nice thing is what we have here, because we have it, they're able to rebuild the Herman Creek substation, while we can still run the Pyramid. If you only have one substation, you have to do exactly what Gordon, you have to find a portable, and that's not always easy. They're there, Figuretek's got a few of them, and other people have them, these portable subs. But that's what you're gonna wait for, the portable sub to come until you can get power.
So there is going on with this option, get the 25 to 30, set it up, get it going. Get the new revenue based on the new sales for people, those companies that want to grow. And then perhaps look at another refurbishment back in the Pyramid substation so that we have the redundancy. We could do something like that.
And so are you planning on keeping that? Because
We still
we're around, around Snyder. Snyder's would like to acquire back. Because what we're gonna do right now is go underground, right? Where the 4 poles are across Snyder's.
we're going to go around the other end of the property and get rid of those.
Okay. So you're gonna go around Snyder's. Right now, you have an easement right across Snyder's. So it's this distance, you're gonna go this big loop around here to get to it underground. That's underground wire is how many times? It's a whole bunch of times more than above ground wire, because you have to insulate it. There's a lot of protections you have to do.
But it's much more reliable.
It's reliable. Yeah, there's no doubt it's reliable, but understand, you're gonna not believe, you're not gonna believe the amount of cost that wire is to get it from Pyramid over to, that's gonna be, to me, that's like one of the biggest expenses. Other than, I'm sure the substation, the substation that the BPA built over there at Herman Creek is heavy duty. Everything leading up to it, everything going through it is, they made, because that's what BPA did. It's all heavy duty stuff. Now, the transformer is a little shaky, but all the structure around it is solid, much more solid than our Pyramid station. So the BPA substation itself is the place to put your transformer, because it's already solid for something like that.
So question, what's the difference cost-wise from refurbished to new? Or do people even buy new?
Oh, yes,
they
they do, I
always-
do, but and again, I don't know what this refurbished one is gonna cost, but if you're gonna get the new one, you're looking at a year or 2 year lead time, and you're probably looking at triple or quadruple the price. So
Have we ever looked into it to see?
when we first started this investigation, the cost from the BPA to refurbish that substation was $3 million
Yeah.
alone, just for that substation. But that's because they do everything full plated. But these days, because we've been looking at this for 5 years now, or 4 years, I would say a new transformer, an additional transformer is probably still in the $3 million range. The port is always looking at bringing new businesses in. One of the things they like to look at is data centers. If the data center comes in, we're going to have redundant transformers.
Right.
We're doing the first phase, $3 million. The second phase would be another $3 million. But whoever comes in would help with that. And we would calculate what the anticipated revenue is was generally, if we had to borrow money to do it, the payment schedule to pay back whatever is necessary. So it's all doable.
But we don't really know what a new one would cost.
I don't know what a new one would cost, but I'm sure it's huge fun.
And they make them a little, now, I don't know what this one is, but really to get an old one that was in really good shape, that's all copper. The new ones are gonna be aluminum. And aluminum works, that's it, it moves power through it, but an aluminum wire is not as good as copper wire.
I was just curious of the difference.
But it is substantial. And that's really all.
For those of us that are visual people and really have no idea where any of these components are, is there any way we could actually see this? Maybe, we don't have to do it tonight, but there's another time, maybe just a map of kind of what we have and where it's at, but, describing where things are going, because it's hard for me to conceptualize what we're talking about.
Do you know where Snyder Construction is?
Yes.
Okay, behind the Snyder's building is our pyramid substation. So
That's the one that's on the north side of the freeway, on this property that has the easement.
right. The BPA substation, right across the freeway, and it's up the hill. If you want to pull in there, you can walk up and just look. You can't go in the fenced area because it's on lock.
So that's the BPA.
That's the
substation.
BPA substation.
And then they send power over to Snyder's, over the freeway,
Over the
and then there's a substation there. Is that the pyramid?
Yes.
Got it. And that is going away.
Well, we're going to keep the easement. We would get rid of the transformer. And that's what we're talking about right now, is perhaps putting another transformer there, not as large, but that would keep it as a secondary source of power, a redundant source of power. We don't have the room to put a 25 to 30 megawatt in there, but we've got a 14 in there now. If we can find another 14, that at least keeps the residences on and the current customer base on it.
So we come into the pyramid substation and then it splits.
Well, what happens is we have the BPA substation. If you look at the transmission lines across the hill, when it comes down the hill, it's 115,000 kilowatts. We run our system at 13.8 kilowatts. So we come in, the power drops down into that substation, and then we do a low voltage delivery, which steps it down to the 13.8. The 13.8 crosses the freeway and out to our customers.
Across the freeway again?
Yeah, it comes, because it comes down to the BPA substation. But we also have the ability to have, we have a 115 kilowatt line coming down and across the freeway where we step it down in our substation. Either way, it's got to get stepped down because it's delivered at 150,000 kilowatts and we don't waste it. Folks, sorry.
Is it possible to have a tour? I'm like visual too,
Yeah.
but I would love to, because I never
Yeah.
have, and I would love to like go physically and see it and then,
Or can do that,
yeah,
Sure.
or can do that for you.
tour.
And it is, it's a real, once you see it, it's a real simple
Yeah.
thing. But my thing to look at, because I think we should look at the Taka. It's our thing going to our people. We have the easement across Snyder. And what Gordon wants to do is go around Snyder, so we aren't crossing Will's property. But the fact is, he bought that property knowing we had that easement across it. I believe the easement is going to shorten up the line to get to the industrial park. I may be wrong, but I believe it is. But I'd like to see in the engineering the difference between the two, because if it's cheaper to come across this property where our poles already are and we already have an easement, then we should go that way as opposed to looping around. That's just my opinion, because I think.
I would like to see the.
Yeah, I agree. I'd like to see it too. Because that wire underground, that is gonna cost you a bunch of money.
Well,
And
we already have the easement. So, I just
Well,
like
we
to
would
see the
trade
difference, right? I would like to see the difference.
Well, again,
Yeah.
let's
Just
prove
cost-wise.
let's prove the engineering, and let's go forward.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. I'm good forward.
All right.
And I'm good with the whole project.
Well, thanks for the discussion.
Yeah.
So call me, come visit the office and we'll take a tour. Oh, no problem, any of you.
And I agree, is you're the ones that have to do this. You should all go take a look and see what the whole thing. You should understand as much as you can about this, because it's a big project for Cascade.
A little
It's a big
detail that you're
project to
mentioning
do.
could be a very expensive decision. You know, whether we go underground around Snyder, or we go across the easement that's already there. It's not something I think would be easy to understand unless you actually see it or
Well,
understand.
and no offense, Zoner, who has much more history with this than I do. If we maintain the current easement, we still have to go back the other side of the freeway which would be underground to get to the business park. Because we have to get more power to the business park. So whether we go this way or this way.
And I'd like to see the distance of those. And it seems to me like it'd be longer, but it could depend on where they come across the freeway. They come across the way to the same spot.
Same place.
Yeah.
All right,
All right.
Brenda has a question.
Yeah, I just have a comment. I would like to be able to go on a tour of that as well, and the wastewater treatment plant, as I previously asked about that before. I wanted to tour that as well. So I just have a visual understanding of what's going on, where, and all of that. So
Happy to do it.
maybe we could coordinate both tours on the same day. I don't know.
Sure, absolutely.
Okay, there you go. So,
Ready for a vote?
are we good?
Yeah.
Any more questions? Jeremy, you got a question? Jeremiah. I keep saying Jeremy. Why did I say that?
I don't know.
I know too many Jeremys. No, thumb up? We're good? Okay. All in favor, say aye.
No.
Roll
We
call.
have to have a roll call vote.
Because now, are we doing roll call because we're doing stuff over here?
Yeah, we're doing a roll call vote because we had an instance where we took a roll call vote and somebody said they voted differently than the roll call was.
So this is gonna be common.
This is gonna be every
This is
time.
how we're gonna do it.
Yeah, just to make sure that
Okay.
every voice.
All right. Hey, I'm good with that. Roll call.
Councilmember Blue,
Aye.
Happy,
Aye.
Fallon,
Aye.
Farrell. Aye. Miller,
Aye.
Wood,
Aye.
Mayor Cranberry.
Aye. Okay.
Nobody escapes. We're all one.
Okay. I got it now. It takes me a while. Okay, approve purchase of ambulance.
John,
So some of you were on the council last year when we talked about buying a new ambulance. We ordered said ambulance at $236,000. Seems like every 3 months I get another updated estimated time of arrival for that ambulance. As of right now, we ordered it last August. It's supposedly gonna be here April of next year, which is a very good guess from the manufacturer. They're having trouble getting chassis. So we don't even have a VIN number assigned to our project yet. So it could be anywhere from another 6 months to a year for a new chassis. So our current ambulances, they're not gonna last that long as a first out ambulance. So I was talking with a gentleman that the county chiefs had bought some extrication equipment for all the county departments. And he had a contact that was looking to sell an ambulance. It's a 2017 Dodge Ram 4500 automatic 4x4 with a diesel motor in it. The box on the back was refurbished in 2017 as well. And the vehicle only has just under 14,000 miles on it. So it's basically brand new. The motor's never broken yet. They're changing their model and how they are responding. They're a non-transporting agency, so it means they don't utilize it as an ambulance. So they've been using it as a first response rig, where their new chief thinks having a type 6 brush truck with some medical gear on it, responding to those calls instead of having this ambulance that they can only use it for medical calls is a better model. They're asking $140,000 for it, which would free up some of our coronavirus money to update some other much needed equipment. That is finishing buying a RAM for vehicle electrification. So the county chiefs graciously bought us a spreader and a cutter at like $45,000. So finishing that with a $13,000 RAM. So we would have a full complement of brand new battery operated state-of-the-art extrication equipment. Updating the cot that's in the current ambulance that's for sale from a manual cot to a power cot, which saves responders' backs because it has hydraulics and it lifts up and down for us. Buying an additional Life Pack 15. So some of you may know that last month Providence Health Services donated a Life Pack 15 to our department. They switched from Life Pack brand to a Zoll brand heart monitors, and in conjunction with talking to their biomed staff and having one of our volunteers work for Providence, we were able to secure one of those for free to the city of Cascade Locks, saving us $35,000. So purchasing an additional Life Pack to bring both of our ambulances with the same heart monitors and current, because our current Life Pack 12s are not supported by Life Pack anymore. So if one breaks, we're gonna have to bite the bullet anyway to buy a $35,000 Life Pack. And then a CPR machine for $16,000. Basically, it is applied to a patient who's in cardiac arrest, and it does the chest compressions for us. So that saves on manpower that we need at those calls. And it also saves responders backs and help doing CPR for a long time. So with our limited staffing and volunteer staff, having one of those would be a game changer. You can run a CPR in progress call with 3 people instead of 9 people. And then there'd be some additional monies for new radios, because the radios that we have in our current ambulance are old and outdated, and so we would need to update those. So we're within the new FCC rules and guidelines, and then taking off Monroe Fire District's logos and putting on Cascade Locks Fire and EMS logos. So looking at this, and I've talked to a lot of people about it outside of our agency to make sure I wasn't making a gut check decision on, yes, our ambulances are failing, but can we limp them along until our new one gets here, or is this a good idea? And we should expend this money to do this. They all think, I will go from Skamania County EMS, from Hood River Fire, Parkdale Fire, other transport agencies in our area. They think moving forward with buying the used ambulance and updated equipment is going to set us up for more success than having just a brand new ambulance and old equipment to go inside that new ambulance.
Hey, Chief, I like your out of the box thinking. I like your go get 'em done attitude. I move to approve the purchase of the 2017 Dodge Ram ambulance from the Monroe Rural Fire Protection District for $140,000. The purchase of the equipment outlined in the staff report with the remaining AARPA funds and the installation of the radios and miscellaneous equipment and markings in the newly acquired ambulance. Thank you, Gordon, for that.
I'll second.
Well, it's been moved and second. Yeah, to do all stuff. That's a lot to read. I'm gonna go with what they have. He had it down.
Sounds like you've
So
done
you
your
get an
homework.
ambulance and all the things that go along with it. So. Discussion.
Okay. So that leaves an extra $32,000 for the radios and the
Yeah,
changeover.
I don't anticipate it taking that much, but not knowing what the market value on the radios are now and installation. And the graphics people couldn't give me a definitive amount to put in there. They need to measure the rig to get me that. If there's additional monies left, I would like to buy a second CPR machine, so both of our ambulances have them. So if our first out is out on a call and we get another call for CPR progress, our second out ambulance also has one of those devices in it. That way, the city is never without one.
All of the funding from ARPA.
So that's that Life Pack 15, right?
That's the
The
chest
chest
compression system.
Oh, okay.
All of the monies from ARPA is dedicated to the fire department.
But what I'm trying to figure out here is that, okay, all this money that's added on to the 140,000. That still leaves 32,000.
Right.
Right. Okay, then we have the sale of our ambulance itself. Right. And then I'm just trying to figure out how can we get him a new vehicle? Because the vehicle he's driving is old, how many thousands of miles?
107,000.
107,000 on that deal? Okay, and it looks old, and I'd like to see John in a newer vehicle, if we could get something used out of Portland or something.
It's a great idea.
And then we could use the sale of the ambulance and the sale of his vehicle that he's using right now to purchase him another one.
I think it's a great idea.
I just think that it's kind of a blessing in disguise, honestly, the delayed lead times. I feel like you get a lot of bang for your buck here.
I do too, and talking with the manufacturer or the one that's on order, there is zero penalty for us to cancel because they have thousands of ambulances waiting to be built. It's not that they're gonna lose money by any stretch of the imagination. There are other districts and departments doing the same thing, canceling new orders, finding used ones, because they need something newer than what they have now, right now.
So the other comment is that Monroe, because we've already made it, we've been interested, been down there, take a look at it, they're willing to sell it to us for 140. They were gonna put it on the market for 200,000.
Buy it.
So-
Quickly.
so question,
Yes,
so we picked up, our newest ambulance was the Hood River ambulance, the red one.
Yeah.
And that one you notice is not going anywhere. The new one was to replace the ambulance that we're actually driving right now. So the one we're driving right now
the white one.
should have been gone, was the one we replaced the red one with. So my question, or my thought is, obviously, you're driving and you're doing okay with it. Should we not put some money into I'm assuming that ambulance
It's got some
needs
issues.
some money in
Yeah.
it, because we were gonna get, it was the ambulance we replaced the red one with.
So from what I gather, there was the white ambulance we currently have, which is Medic 91. And then Medic 92 was a van style ambulance that when the city purchased the red one from the city of Hood River, it replaced the van style and was supposed to be the first out. Well, Medic 92, the red one, has some pretty serious electrical gremlins, and you'll be driving with your lights and sirens going somewhere, and then they'll just shut off, or you'll be driving back from the hospital, taking your time without your lights and sirens, and then all of a sudden the lights will come on. And people will start pulling over, and you're like, what is going on? Well, all your lights are on, you don't know because the electrical gremlins have wreaked havoc. And the airbag system in the back of that, the airbags have holes, and to replace them is a pretty substantial amount of money. And so they just leak down over time. So every day we have to start it, pump those up to keep them inflated.
That's on the red one we got
It's on the red one, and that's the one that we're gonna replace, is the red one from Hood River, and keep the white one that the city of Cascade locks, built brand new in 2001. Both of our current ambulances.
So that's my question. My question is, the red one was brought to replace the white one, because they're saying it wasn't any good. That's why the red one's here. So my question is, and all I'm saying is, if we got extra money, I've gotta believe there's gotta be some issues with that white one, is why they went after the red one. Should we be putting some money into the white one?
Yes. there's
Because
a
you're
couple-
carrying we're putting a whole lot of gear into it. We need to have a vehicle to get us there.
There's a couple things that we need to do. We need to look at a new inverter, power inverter. But it's all fairly inexpensive stuff to do with, but guess we can use some of the extra money to harden our second out ambulance at that point.
And you think that second out, the second out ambulance, engine wise, is strong enough to give us more years?
Yes, it's got a 7.3 liter diesel from Ford, and that motor is a rock star motor and runs. There's people that have 500,000-600,000 miles on that motor with very limited issues. We currently have 117,000 miles on that ambulance. The problem isn't the motor; it's a lot of the components around the motor that are.
So that's my
starting-
question.
Yeah.
Shouldn't we, my question would be, shouldn't we be spending the money on making sure that that ambulance
Yes, we,
runs well for us?
yes,
So and that would be up to you. That's just my thought on it.
absolutely.
Is we want to make sure that if you got two ambulances, they can both.
Yes, with
Run well.
Medic 91 being the second out, I can afford to have it out of service for a couple of days for an inverter swap or something that we need to do to harden that ambulance to make it last longer.
So Medic 92 that we bought from the river, it's kind of been problematic. Anything we learned from that experience that might be helpful as we're looking at buying another used one?
We only paid $15,000 for it.
Yeah, they give.
Just
It was,
They were happy to get rid of it,
because it was having problems when we bought it.
but yeah, they didn't bother to share that with us. They just sold us their third out ambulance for $15,000. And we were in a desperate situation. We were trying to rebuild the fire department at the same time.
Think we can sell it for 15 grand?
I think we've got enough use out of that thing for the $15,000.
Yeah. And I don't know what the resale value is, a couple ideas. One, if the college, Columbia Gorge Community College is open to the idea of doing a straight trade with them. So no money exchanges hands, but we figure out a valuation for Medic 92. And then we equate that to number of EMT students that we can send to their college for EMT classes. Or one of my paramedics has started a business providing ambulance standbys and wants to get into sending ambulances on fires. She's not going herself. She's hiring people to go do it, but she is interested in purchasing it from the city of Cascade Locks for her business.
sounds like you have a couple.
Win-win.
ideas. Yeah. Cross that bridge.
The bottom line, this one is gonna be more reliable.
Yes, the 2017 will be way more reliable. And yes, it pains me to buy a Dodge because I'm 100% a Ford guy. But I went and looked at this and drove it and crawled underneath it and crawled in all the compartments of it. And I feel it's a very good deal. And it's gonna fit our needs very well.
Okay.
So question to you then, Gordon, is, this is what we're voting on, is this amount of money. There's a piece still in there.
Right.
And we haven't come back with what he wants, how he
Right.
wants to.
Right.
How he wants to.
Well,
spend that.
well, we know the amount that we've got, and we know the amount that.
Okay,
we're
we'll come
spending.
back and
Yeah.
so make sure that we, all right, very good. Any other questions?
Yes, the radio people are very hard to get a hold of lately. So I'm waiting for quotes back from radios, but they're very busy.
Day wireless.
Yes.
I just want to make sure you're comfortable with your backup. From my end of the backup is more important than radios to me, but if you're comfortable with
I'm
it, then
comfortable
yeah.
with the backup. Yes.
Okay. Any other questions? Okay, roll call.
Councilmember Blue,
Aye.
Happy,
Aye.
Fallon,
Aye.
Farrell,
Aye.
Miller,
Aye.
Wood,
Aye.
Mayor Cramlin.
Aye.
Thank you.
And thanks
Thank
for what
you.
you do, John, really. And your crew.
Pass it along.
Okay, where are we here? Where are we? Ambulance. Approve LOC voting delegate.
So, the annual LOC business meeting is on the last day of the conference. For those who are attending, we need to have one delegate. designated to be the voting delegate.
Who's attending altogether?
I'm attending and Butch is attending.
And Jeremiah, did you reserve?
Oh, and Jeremiah is.
Yeah, I'm attending.
And I'm attending, because I'm still here. If I'm not the new guy, I made reservations. So we need a voting delegate, we need a backup.
So can I get a motion on a delegate? Or somebody volunteer to do, however you want to do that?
Does somebody want to be a delegate?
As council president, I would be a delegate.
I make a motion to make Kathy the delegate at the LOCC conference.
There's a second on that?
Second
All
that.
right. So move to second, make Kathy the voting delegate. Discussion.
Now, how does Kathy vote? Like, how is that determined?
The ballot measures that are, whatever the resolutions are, will be available at the council backup. She gets to read it with her wisdom. Now, I'm gonna give you a real world view. There are 242 cities in the state. Most of them, 200 of them, will be represented. If she votes against everything else, they're not even gonna notice her placard. It's generally unanimous. It's generally unanimous. I mean, it's, these things are vetted through the.
They've already figured it out.
They have it all figured out. So it's kind of pro forma.
I'm sure I'll have questions for you.
I'll be there.
Cool.
The only, in the 30 years I've been going to the League of Oregon Cities, I've only seen one instance when they had to stop and count the ballots. And that was when they were appointing a new member to the board. The Oregon City County Management Association had already picked the delegate, which was the normal process because it was a city manager delegate. And another city manager, no, I want to do it. And so she did her spiel on everything else, and then everybody had to vote. Do you want the one that the city managers wanted, or do you want the city manager that wanted it herself? And they had to do the vote. That's the only time in 30 years.
That sounds exciting.
It was painful. It was painful. One time, just, again, telling stories. There was
He's retired.
there's,
Yes, story.
there was one time when I just wanted to see what would happen if I voted in opposition to whatever it was. Raised my card up. They didn't notice. They went right on.
That's good that you tried.
Yeah. Just to be a stinker, but anyway, thank you.
So do we need a backup?
I do need an alternate.
Butch, you're the other.
I think Butch should be the alternate.
Did you want to be?
No. No, I think Jeremiah should.
Jeremiah?
Sure, I'll be the alternate.
Okay,
All right.
Please.
roll call.
Councilmember Blue,
Excuse me.
Wait,
Aye.
Before you do this, let's amend the motion so that it's to designate Kathy as the designee and Jeremiah as the alternate. That way you only have to take one vote. Is that, who made the motion?
Jeremiah did.
Jeremiah.
I made the motion, but if I'm also selecting myself, maybe it should come from somewhere else.
It's not a problem.
All right.
And the second,
I second it.
you're good with that amendment? All right, thank you.
Councilmember Blue,
Aye.
Happy,
Aye.
Fallon,
I,
Carol,
Aye.
Miller,
Aye.
Wood,
Aye.
Mayor Kremlin.
Aye. Okay. Review council rules.
Every September, we put these out for your opportunity to review the rules. You can take it home, you can review them. If you have any suggestions or want to change, we can either do it tonight, we can bring it back. However you want to approach the onerous task of reading through the details.
there wasn't any changes.
We haven't made any changes in
Yeah.
about 4 years.
Do we need to make any changes because of the Zoom
No,
thing now?
no. Because we still have the numbers for all. In fact, we're required by state law to allow the Zoom option, so.
We've been a pretty busy council as of late. I would say that we review them and then come back.
Sounds good. I'm good with that.
You all good with that?
Okay, thank you.
Okay. Approve new OLCC permit application. For Veiled.
We have a new application for on-site location commercial for grower sales privilege. It's a winery in the Flex 4.
They may like sales similar to Son of Man.
Yeah. Both retail sales is allowed in the zone, retail indoor and outdoor.
I'll make a motion that the city council approve new liquor license application for Veiled Maiden.
Second.
Okay, it's been moved to second to approve the liquor license for Veiled Maiden. Discussion. Roll call.
Councilmember Blue,
Aye.
Happy,
Aye.
Fallon,
Aye.
Farrell,
Aye.
Miller,
Aye.
Wood,
Aye.
Mayor Kremlin.
Aye. Okay, parents and interested citizens. We have an interested citizen and would like to appear.
I just wanted to say thank you for approving the budget for the ambulance and other items that Cascade Fire Department, John Logan, recommended. My husband's a volunteer fireman, so I know firsthand why they need all of these things, and I really trust John Logan, so thank you for that. And I don't know if it's the appropriate venue to say that I appreciate everything that you're doing and have decided to try and help out by running myself for city council.
Denise E. Baker.
Denise Everling Baker, yes, is my full name, and we know there's another Denise Baker in Cascade Lock.
There is.
So, yes, that will be, we'll have to establish that I'm Denise Everling Baker, although she is a fabulous person. So, she looks great as well. So, and you all know Jackie Chan.
Thank you.
Thank you. Reports and presentation. City committees.
Have nothing? Thank you.
Yeah, Windsong, phase 111 requiring establishment of a homeowners association.
When the Windsong Phase 1 was originally approved in 2007, they were required to have an HOA, which they have never done. There is the bioswale that's on Forest Lane at Sheridan Street, and there is the southeast corner of Sheridan and Windsong going up the hill that need attention. And so at the recommendation of the city attorney, we are sending all of the property owners in the original Windsong 1 this letter to let them know that they need to get together and figure out how to maintain those properties, and the homeowners association is what is required by our code. I just wanted you to know, so when the phone starts ringing on Friday, when they get their letters delivered, you know what it's all about.
So they'll come up with a cost.
They'll come up with the cost, they'll come up with the way they want to govern it, they'll come up with whatever they want to do. Since it's relatively small, it's not going to cost the homeowners. If everybody participates, I don't think it's going to be really tough to maintain the swale and the property. But if you go look at that southeast corner right now, it's trees have grown up and they need to come out, and it could be a nice little park. But they need to have a homeowners association. Now, they can approach it several different ways. They can have join Shahala or Wasco Creek. If they wanted to do it that way, like, because there's already a governance structure. The new Windsong 2 will also have an HOA. They could join that one if that's what they decide to do. But they need to have some kind of organization and some kind of collection to maintain the property that the original developer promised.
Can I ask why it's taken so long to catch this?
When the second developer of Windsong knew all about it and refused to do anything about it. They're now coming in at Windsong 2 because they said when they do the second phase, they were going to take care of all of this. They are. And so
Is it the same builder?
it are same people, different company. They
That's-
reorganize
Okay.
so that they think they don't have responsibility, but it goes with the landowners. So that's why this is going with the landowners. And we're making them on Windsong 2 for the HOA before we give them any kind of final approval.
Were they notified when they purchased these properties?
Absolutely.
Because when I bought mine, I knew about the HOA, but,
Well, you had an established HOA
Right.
was functioning.
right,
They knew, because it was in the conditions of approval from the planning commission. It was there in writing, and they have simply ignored it.
So it was on my title report,
Was
with water
it?
property, but it was on there and it was, our realtor said it's a dysfunctional, HOA and it's not currently
Mhm.
running, but
Right,
it is on the title report. That being said, when we had the city council meeting discussing the plan development for Windsong Phase 2,
Mhm.
how many people commented about this HOA and how they were guaranteed and promised and said that, they were never gonna have an HOA, so.
But that's from realtors who are out to sell property, not the developers and not the city.
How many homes are in this HOA? Or
I didn't count them. I think there's like 33 or 40. I mean, it's substantial and we're gonna give $10 a month. I don't know, could give them enough money to maintain the two small pieces of property. That's up to them and how they want to do it.
So when you say them, who is them?
All of the property owners.
How do you get all the property owners to make a decision on this?
That's,
Town meeting.
it's up to you guys, the property owners, to figure that out. And if you don't, then we will file suit in municipal court for violation of city code against all of the property owners.
They'll have somebody that comes above and starts, I'm sure they will.
It could be a sitting city councilor that.
Yeah, somebody will step up, yeah.
Shahala wasn't taking care of their area for a while, but now they take very good care of it. It took a while for them to get their act together
And we'll work.
and maintain their parks and everything.
Because the city does not have the capability to do it. And so it's just a little contract. Develop a little park, the neighborhood all on one. So anyway, that's, the letter is going out to them in the mail.
Next council meeting, might be fun.
Next council might be really good. My report. I was just looking at. Okay, I may add one thing to the report, but Dry Creek Booster Pump, Brenda, for you.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Everything has arrived. They've installed everything. We're now waiting to pour the pad. And when the pad's done, then the installation will be combined, put together, and the electrician will come and power it up and we'll test it. So step at a time, but it's coming. Number two, tall glass, excuse me. I was thinking of beverage. Tall grass ordinance. We had two properties that did not respond to the city notification. We took them to municipal court. Neither one showed up. We won a demand judgment against both properties. We will fine them $500 a day from the date of the original letter, which was July 16th, until the date of the court, which was September the 8th. That is 54 days at $500 a day is $27,000, which will be a lien against the property.
Are they local owners?
They are not.
Are they out of the country?
No, one's in Camas and one's in Aloha.
And did they physically receive the
They,
notices? Did they have to sign for
they
them?
did, they signed for the certification and the properties were posted. So we followed all the rules. And when they sell the property and they find that there's a lien of $27,000 plus court costs.
Is that 27,000 per property?
Per property.
Cut your grass.
Yeah.
Cut your grass.
Are these big properties? I mean, are they
No,
just regular
it's-
residential lot?
Regular, small lots. But one is the abandoned property up on Regulator, the Chris Weingold used to live in.
Yeah.
He didn't mow lawn. It was pretty simple. And the other one is in Shahala, behind one of the houses. It's one of the view lots, and it's got a beautiful patch of clover in it. It's, it's nothing. So anyway, I just want to report that to you.
What about, I'm just curious, like, how did those property owners get, fined? I mean, there's other properties you see around them, like in Winsong, for example, and some of the no man's land where, the grass isn't cut, how is the
So-
distinction drawn?
John and I take a tour at the beginning, after July 15th, which is the deadline for the maintenance of your property. This year, I think we identified 17 or 18, 18 different properties. They are all sent a letter, said you've got 10 days to take care of your stuff. And for the most part, all of them do. In this case, 3 of the 17 or 18 did not. And so they got a second letter and they got posted notification and they got a certified letter. The one gentleman came from Camas, said he apologized, and he went and took care of his property, so we dismissed the order into the municipal court. The other 2 did not respond. So we currently have 3 properties right now that have liens against them for violation of the tall grass ordinance. One for 38,000 and these 2 for 27,000.
Cut your grass.
Cut your grass. All right, Brenda, neighborhood watch signs, they're up. The speed sign will be installed hopefully this weekend, next week. So that's moving that on. The mayor asked me to give you an explanation of the public safety power shutoff notice, PSPS. Some of you may have received notification from Pacific Power or PGE that said your power was going to be shut off because they just broadcast and to your phone, and whether you live in their territory or you were there or not. So we got a lot of calls from that. The public safety power shutoff is designed to prevent wildfires by down power lines in forested areas, which starts fires. The state law has passed and allows us to do that. PGE and Pacific Power have long runs of power through wildland, wildfire, or wildland and forest land. Our runs are along a highway, roadway, relatively easy to get to. We have well-populated areas. So like we did have one case this Saturday when a tree fell and impacted the power line. It did not take it down. So we had to call a crew. Skamania County responded. Skamania PUD responded. We went down, shut the power off, knocked the tree off, turned the power back on. And that was the only incident we had in the high wind condition this year. But that's our policy, because we are well populated and we just have to patrol the roads. All of the power lines in the gorge were patrolled by outside agencies that were brought in by the Forest Service. So we had lots of eyes looking, lots of eyes watching and letting us know when we had a problem. When we're able to respond, Derek can go out, assess the situation, call our contractor, call Skamania PUD, call Hood River Co-op, call any of the members of the Oregon Municipal Electric Utilities to respond. We can get somebody out here relatively quickly to take care of the problem. And we have the fire departments that are available to come in and knock down if there is a fire involved. So that's the policy. We are not going to shut the power off. We did shut the power off last year out Wyeth, but that we only have one customer and the state park out there. So that's relatively easy to call and say, hey, we're going to cut your power for this reason. They got a generator. We're all good. The other area down line is from Dodson and Borealdale down to Bridalveil, down past Paloma Falls. Again, there's lots of people looking at the line and letting us know what's going on. There is the Department of Energy has some funding for wildfire mitigation, the trimming of the trees. They have guaranteed a minimum of $400,000 to small electric utilities who qualify. This will hopefully be available next spring. We think we qualify. It's up. We haven't made any application, any application process. If we qualify, that $400,000 will come in. We'll hire a tree crew, and they will go through all of our lines. And the current standard now is cut everything away from 10 feet or closer to our power lines, so that there's no opportunity or limited opportunity for damage from trees, tree limbs, sparking, that kind of thing. If we don't get that money, then we're going to have to figure out how to pay for that, which is what our wildfire mitigation plan that you adopted here a couple of months ago is all about. That's just the future, and I just wanted to let you know. Any questions on the public safety power shut off?
No, appreciate the clarification though.
Yeah, we explained that to a lot of people when they called in this week. Planning Commission on August 11th, the Planning Commission approved the 6-unit subdivision at the corner of Jackson Roberts Road and Forest Lane for adult care group. On September 8th, the Planning Commission approved parking lot for the PCT trailhead on Harvey Road. So we're getting some minimal development coming forward. We had a meeting today with the new Windsong 2 property owners. They hope to begin improvement of their property within 3 weeks after we solve one little financial problem. Number 6, the Bradford Island Superfund project. This is a environmental hazard cleanup at Bradford Island, which is where Bonneville Dam is. And they wanted to have a public space to come in, use our OWL, do the Zoom, so virtual meetings, anybody can attend if they want to. It'll be October 19th from 5:30, it's from 6 to 8, but they're coming in at 5:30 to set up their equipment. And I put that notice in with your project. ODOT I-84 update. Forest Lane Bridge is now open. If you haven't noticed, the intersection on the south side is much improved, and we're grateful for that. Most of the paving is done between Multnomah Falls and Ainsworth. There's still some paving to be done between Ainsworth and Cascade Locks. Permanent striping continues throughout the project area. The repair of the floor of the Toad Rock Tunnel will happen in the spring. As part of the paving beginning September 18th, over the bridges that are over the off-ramp and Russell Street. It will be limited to 9-foot lanes for 3 weeks, beginning September 18th. Lane closures will be from Sunday night at 5 p.m. through Thursday 4 p.m. for those 3 weeks. And all of the oversized loads will be coming through beautiful downtown Cascade Locks. sprayer.
Well, it's good they paved our big one.
Yeah, it's good they paid for one of them. We blackmailed them to that
Yeah,
one.
that's good.
Gorgeous relay, not only are we gonna have trucks coming through Saturday or Sunday morning, but, well, we're gonna have trucks, they're coming Monday morning, but runners will be coming through on a gorge relay from the Dallas to Portland on Sunday morning, the 18th. And then there's a letter to the mayor that was attached to the staff report, and Brenda and Jeremiah, you can pick up the staff reports from your boxes tomorrow or whenever you want to come in. But there's new flood insurance rate maps and flood insurance study. There are only 2 properties have been impacted in the city of Cascade Locks with the new flood insurance, which means those 2 properties will have to buy flood insurance now. The rest of the properties along Dry Creek already buy flood insurance, and for some reason, these 2 properties were not included, not anymore. So that's the way it goes. And that's, oh, and the
I've
last,
seen Dry Creek, but
you've seen Dry Creek. The other issue that I wanted to talk about, that I think about, our next council meeting is September 26th. And in October, the first council meeting is October 10th, which is Columbus Day.
When's your birthday? That's your birthday too. It is.
Well, let's take your birthday off.
By God, I vote for that. No.
So, the only concern I have is,
Set a day off from the staff.
yeah, it's a day off. Where we might be with a new appointment, so. If we may, I may come back to you at our next meeting and have an alternative for you, but I just wanted to give you a heads up that Columbus Day is coming.
Maybe we can talk about it at
Yeah,
our next meeting.
yeah,
and you're talking.
For the sake of
whether we
time.
have a meeting or not.
right. Yeah. And I think we get Columbus Day off, at least like, that's what's flashing through my head.
Maybe you,
Day?
maybe you do.
Columbus Day,
October 10th.
October, yeah, it's the 12th, but it's, you know, the government observes it on Monday. And that's my report.
Did we receive? Did I miss it?
Yes, we did, that was included in the consent agenda.
That's
Thank you.
okay. Mayor and city comments. We have executive session too,
We
right?
do.
Okay. Keep it short and sweet.
I just had a quick question.
Go ahead.
The staff report from Alcott, hey, see, Koch, said from the planning vision statement for the future Cascade Locks. I was just curious why that was in our.
That was a committee report from the city of Alcoa. Was that from the tourism committee? No,
That came as part of the planning, wasn't it?
That was, one of the candidates
But
We
they
had
asked.
had asked if council members had seen that vision statement, she had brought it up, and so
Oh.
Kathy thought it should.
Oh, okay.
Got it, thank you. That's right, I remember that.
Yeah. Okay, that was like.
We can know if we've got it.
Now we've got it.
None of that stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, some is 20 years, so that's till 2032 again.
I don't know the vision.
I'd like to dive into that later.
What's that?
That vision plan discussion.
Well, it was never adopted, I mean,
Okay,
so,
well, we could,
yeah,
Got it.
sometimes if you want to do a strategic plan, you're
Sure.
welcome to do that.
So we'll start with the owls here. So Brenda, comments?
Yeah, I have several things. I want to thank the staff and then thank Micaela, the lady from the PTO for coming, and Jim from Hood River Garbage. And Mayor Tom, I want to really thank you for all of your knowledge about our community and wisdom, because you've lived there your whole life. You have so much knowledge that a lot of us don't, and I just want to say a special thank you for all that knowledge and kind of, because that helps us, or it helps me to know these things, so it helps him make a better informed decision. So I just want to say thank you to you. The other thing I wanted to ask about was the fire hydrant on Wanapal. I noticed that's not done yet. Do we know where that is?
Yes, we're still waiting for a 2-inch coupling.
2-inch coupling?
Yeah, it's a supply chain issue. The part's just not available. We do
Okay.
have hydrants, available 150 feet in either direction. So the fire department still has the capability to fight any fire going up Venture.
Okay. And then my other question was, I was made, a citizen reached out to me because our August 22nd meeting is not on YouTube. So I advised them to call City Hall and ask, and they were told that we're not doing that anymore. Do you know anything about that?
I don't think that was not correct. We had technical difficulties transferring the file. We're still trying to work on it, but we haven't resolved it yet.
I believe it's uploaded now. I believe they.
Okay. Okay, I just wanted to check on that. Thank you, Marilyn. And then my other question was for dumpster days, it's because we got the notice that it was canceled this year. Did we ask the port if maybe we could hold dumpster days somewhere on their property or anything, or did we just decide that we weren't going to do it because we don't have the room?
We did, and the port was concerned about, they already have a problem with people dumping on their property, and they weren't comfortable immediately with that additional uncontrolled area where dumping could occur, like on the wastewater treatment plant. You got to go through our gate or our fence, so it's no dumping. So, and since we had to make a quick decision to make sure to get it into the newsletter in time, we chose to not do it at this time. And Jim Winterbottom's going to take a look at allowing Cascade Lodge to have a free dump day in the River. But that was the reason that we did not want to exacerbate a problem that's already existing out in the port by having 20-yard dumpsters out available for 6 days, 7 days, unsupervised.
Yeah, and I can appreciate that. My other thing, I had a citizen reach out to me about the table that's at Thirsty Coffee Shop. It has 4 chairs there, so I actually went and checked it out myself. And you actually you're walking down the sidewalk and you have to go off of the sidewalk around this table to then get back on the sidewalk to walk. And is there any way we can have them put a smaller table there so not to block the walkway? Because that is an ADA thing too, because we have to make sure people that are handicapped have access to get through there.
Yes, we have been in contact with them and they have not yet been responsive, but we sent them a letter and we sent them another letter. We've talked to them. The owner has not been available when we've been down there, so.
Okay.
I think I've seen a smaller table,
I think.
but there's still a lot of chairs.
When the last time I looked, there was 5 feet, which is the required clearance available.
Yeah, it looks like sometimes, because I've looked at it a few different times, and it looks like sometimes they will push the table up against the wall, like whenever up against the building, whenever it's not being used. So you would get your 5 feet, but most definitely when it's pulled out and 4 people are sitting around it, you do not have that. You don't have any way to get around it.
Yeah, but if 4 people are sitting around and somebody comes along with a wheelchair, they're going to.
Yeah. Okay, and then Forest Lane, I'll just make it short and sweet, same problem, different day. And then I had asked about the retirement policy getting on the agenda, so we don't have people retire and we don't have any retirement present for them. I wanted us to create a policy and get it on the agenda, and it did not reach the agenda. Can you make sure that happens maybe next time, Gordon, or?
We'll ask Kathy what happened to it, yeah.
Yeah. And let's see, and the last but not least, our tall grass ordinance. I would like council to take a look at it. It is very vague. It can be interpreted many ways. I guess we only send letters if it involves the city right away. And I would like for us to take a look at that as well. And have a discussion about that on another day. And that's all I have. Thank you, guys.
Thank you. Jeremy.
Jeremiah.
And I ran through my head here.
Sing that
I'm getting
song.
old, folks. I ran through my head that I was gonna get this right. Jeremy.
As much as
I apologize.
you're fine. As much as I appreciate a opportunity to pontificate, in the interest of keeping things moving, especially with what I expect is going to be a long executive session, I don't have a lot to say. I do want to thank staff, specifically Marilyn and Kathy Woosley. I know as a commission, when we create these extra meetings, that it doesn't all of a sudden a decrease in your regular duties. So I appreciate the effort that you put in to make these meetings happen for us, along with the regular duties, which definitely didn't change. Thanks, everybody.
All right, I'm gonna make this quick. Thank you, staff, Marilyn, Kathy, certainly appreciate the packets, everything. Thank you, John Logan. Congratulations, I'm excited you're getting your stuff. Micaela, great presentation, super excited with that. Thank you, Jim. Community picnic, just really quick, we had close to 200, it went well, we had a follow-up. We can go into more detail later, but Pete, Jeremiah, Tammy, you guys helped so much. Brenda came, Gordon, I saw you there, but I didn't get to talk to you. And then I'd like to get on the schedule a discussion about the neighborhood watch signs. I have some ideas on that to, but like to have further discussion about that. And then have further discussion on the 6-unit subdivision. Bradford Island Superfund, can we help with advertising? What are we doing social media wise?
That's all up to them.
It's
It's
all
a
up.
federal.
Is there anything we can do though to help with that?
Yeah, we'll put it on Facebook,
Or-
but again, they're the
Right.
ones that are responsible for doing it.
Right, but I think that's another thing I'd like to see have further discussion on,
Okay,
just
so
social media.
What's
So
the discussion on the 6-unit development?
there's a laundry list with that I have, but I just, for the sake of time, I don't,
You call me and we'll talk.
perfect. And that's it.
Yeah.
Just relaying from a resident. He had mentioned that he had seen some women peeing on the benches. I believe he means the post office benches, and was wondering if the city ever pressure washed them,
That's a great question.
because he said it was at nighttime and she looked intoxicated, so he did not go up to her, and there was no deputy around.
I know
So,
someone that can sanitize and disinfect those benches for you for free. You just
Oh, yes.
give Pro Shine a call, we can probably stop by and take care of that.
and then, let's see here. Then what I said about dumpster days, there's a lot of people with junker vehicles that could barely get down to our dumpster days that may not make it to the river. And so that was my suggestion, that in 2 years from now, we do it for 2 days, but that's just a suggestion. And my last thing was,
Just comment on that. Problem with 2 days is they're filled up after the first 6 hours.
but we used to do it.
We do it in the spring, we do it in the fall.
But I mean, we used to have 2 days, I remember.
Yes, but the second day was turning people away because they get filled up the first day. And that's, we got one extra dumpster, 20-yard dumpster, and it still got filled up the first day. So it's not a question of 2 days, it's a question of capacity.
Yeah, okay, so if we were to make it up, it would have to be a totally separate.
And then we would have to pay for the dumpsters.
Yeah.
This is part of their dumpsters, coming down here as part of their.
I just know a few people, there's vehicles not gonna make it to the river, so. Okay, I just thought I would bring that up.
Just, thank you.
And my, last thing besides all the thank yous, we talked, months ago about some land up behind Ruckel that we had discussion on. And do you know what I'm talking about?
Yeah, the city owns property up there.
Yeah, are we just sitting on it with no
Right.
discussion?
But I mean, the mayor.
Which way are you talking about?
The mayor has this vision of making it a primitive campground.
Okay, I was under the impression there was something in the mix because we couldn't access it. There was a problem with the.
Right, we can't, we have to go through state property to access it, and we can't, because the state's not willing to give us that access or easement.
And that's just the end of that. Okay,
We can't get access.
it just popped in my head the other day, so when we were talking about places for homeless to set up affordable living, it just kind of popped in there.
Yeah. Well, most of it's on a slope.
Yeah,
It would be really tough to
you don't wanna go, you don't wanna start that back there. You wanna make it a park, not affordable living.
Okay, thank you. That's
Thank
all I
you.
got.
I wish we could afford all.
Okay, I sent out a email to Les Perkins, who's our county commissioner, about lowering the speed limit for Forest Lane, since we've had complaints on speeding. And he sent me back this, he says, the state has to perform a study, then let us know how we can drop it. The county itself cannot lower the speed limit. So if we were to make a request, we would have to submit it to the Public Works Director for the county, and then they would submit it to the state. And then the state would come back. So,
if we paid for it.
yeah, well, he didn't mention that.
Yeah, nothing is for free.
Yeah, so,
Once we're sanitizing this, making your benches.
yeah. That's a trade-off.
Some things are free.
No, somebody's paying for it.
So that's where we are on Forest Lane, lowering speed limits. We'd have to go to the state. County can't do anything. And I like to thank staff for all their work that they've been doing, especially with all the extra work with our hiring process. And thank Micaela and Jim Winterbottom for being here, and Denise for being here tonight. And I also received some reports from numerous people about campaigning during our community picnic. So I would like that we make a proposal that we adopt a policy by council on some sort of code of conduct by council during events that are paid for by the city. And maybe that has to go into this new policy that we're gonna be looking over or whatever. But this is exactly what I talked about when I voted against the picnic, is that it could be used for campaigning, and it's an unfair advantage to us over anybody else trying to run. So I would like to see a new policy. And that's all I got.
All right. Again, just second Jeremiah's comments for Kathy and Marilyn, putting in some extra hours during our executive sessions for the city administrator. It's been eye-opening experience for me, and I really appreciate all the support. And Marilyn was very, I don't know, persistent in tracking down that 17 months of missing data from the Frick County Sheriff's Office. So we got that information. I submitted to the person that was helping me with the data analysis and asked her to get those 17 months entered. So I haven't heard back from y'all yet, but did you all get the link? I sent it to Gordon to a Google Drive Excel spreadsheet. Did that go out to everybody in council?
No, I don't think so.
You got that email from me though? Does that ring a bell?
No,
Okay.
I'm getting older.
It might be COVID brain, you know.
Yeah, that's a great one. It was COVID, right?
I'll make a note. I'll send it to you again.
Well, just wait till you get all the rest of the data and we'll send it in so it's complete.
It's a live file, so you guys can look at it whenever you want. It's just, and it will be updated as we continue to get more crime summary statistics. So you're welcome to get into it whenever you want. You can just open it up from the link and you can read it in Google Sheet, or I think you can probably open it up in Excel if you know how to open it up in Excel from the file.
You have to get permission to do that.
What's that?
You have to get permission to do that.
It's anybody that has a link can open it up. And it actually could be shared with our citizens if they want to look at it. They can view it. Anybody with a link can view it. You just can't edit the data.
Can you send me the link?
Yeah, I'll get it to Gordon and then like distribute it.
Cool.
What's that?
I don't.
Okay. And then I just wanted to say, thank you for running. I think it's great. I think it's amazing. We have 3 vacancies on the city council. We have 4 people that are on the ballot. So that's a neat position to be in where we actually have more people interested than we actually have seats.
To that point, because we have 2 council members that are running for mayor, one of them will be elected, which creates a vacancy so that the 4th vote getter could get, if the council agrees, could get that 2-year term. So potentially all 4 will be serving for the next 2 years.
That's right. So that's pretty amazing that we have all of our committees full at the city council. You know, we have some vacancies, but they all should be full. So that's all I got.
Okay, thank you. So I'll apologize to Jeremiah, but I'm stuck on that name now, so it's gonna be. What was the song, Jeremiah?
Jeremiah was a bullfrog.
Was a bullfrog, and that's Creed,
Was
right?
a good friend of mine.
That's Creed,
No, we
right?
don't names. We don't names.
Okay, well, hey. I'll get you. Anyway, sorry, but, and Butch, do we want, because Butch is working on the community policing, we want to get to follow, see if we can follow through up with the sheriff on the discussion that we had with the Mulligan
I
County.
did,
You're doing.
I already sent a note to the sheriff and to the Deputy Brown, that's our assigned deputy, and I have not heard back from them in over a month.
Okay,
So
can we continue to,
we can ask again.
Sue, sorry, you want to try to follow through on that then too with that?
Sure,
All right,
no problem.
all right, thank you, because I know that's commitment council, try to work towards, we can keep working towards those type of things. Yeah, I'm good. Thank you, and again, sorry, Jeremiah. I need to say it a lot of times.
Thank you.
Thank
Thank
you.
you. Thank you.
Good night.
Thank you.
We're going to executive session.
Thanks, John.
So we're gonna leave our regular session here and go to executive session under ORS 192.660 D, labor negotiations, and 2A, employment.
Yeah, we're gonna take a little 5-minute break.
All right, we're gonna negotiate.
There's water, there's cookies, there's vegetables, there's.
Yeah.
And Ross, glad to have you.
I'm here.
Did you enjoy that 2-hour council meeting?
I learned a lot.
Did it bring back a lot of memories? Yeah, that's fine. Whatever you want to happen to come.
Hey, I've been on council, we've been here till midnight
I know,
That's
numerous times. So, so we're doing okay.
but you know, old guys and bladders don't last. So take a number.
That's right.
Okay.
You must be talking about yourself. This old guy can laugh.
I got it. Okay.
Yeah, person that's on that. Being in three upset.
I should have kept my fast. I got.
You know what else we haven't covered?
Huh?
We didn't go over,
You want to see?
that statute for.
Anything under eight?
grading. And the
Oh,
artist.
we're still waiting on, probably on call back from Heather.
The doctor was okay.
Oh, I guess we'll,
They just planned.
he's gonna check with Kathy about the
That's not,
retirement. gifts
that's not
and
that
stuff,
6
so I guess
seven,
we can
it's
talk
still
about
not
that.
6 7.
Okay.
Right.
You have a thank you.
I got a good enough one.
Can you?
Still licensed.
That's
With
the
no grade.
extra ones too. Okay,
So,
yeah. I
That's
felt
all
like
I
I
did.
should have said something extra on that one as well.
Oh, well, put their name on one.
You want me to do
Yeah,
that?
just
Okay.
pick one of the extra ones. Maybe the one with green with all
They
the
got a
trees,
bunch of chairs down there, so that's gonna wind up,
you know?
same thing, how you. It looks like it's a small table. But when you put 4 people around it, or allowed to, you wind up.
I
And
actually
it's
saw,
officially Gorge Canoe Club.
Yes,
I actually
yes.
saw them
I could put it on there. I did.
going through downtown.
I was going by memory.
And heading to.
Was it a scooter? I juked. By my knees. She got in there, so she, but they got her scooters, and now she goes down, she goes to the,
There,
drink coffee.
that's why Brenda's all upset about having the table. She's just got a place to go. Her wife.
I know. Hey, she does what she's gonna do.
If we go,
Gordon, are you supposed to still be recording?
Oh, thank you.
Uh-huh.